where I'm joined on the line by Peter Melrose, Social Democrats representative in the Maynooth area. Morning to you, Peter.
Hi, Eoin. Thanks for having me on.
You are calling for the installation of sustainable bus shelters on the W61 route that runs from Maynooth to Celbridge and vice versa. What's the issue there? What have you noticed?
Yeah, so when this new W61 route came into effect in June, and I welcomed it, and in fact I made a submission in March to Bus Connects about if anyone had any suggestions, and I thought that the bus stops were good in terms of the locations because there's one outside the school, there's one outside the nursing home and things, and I thought that was great. I strongly urge them that if you're going to do this, you need to put in bus shelters. Now, we all know the type of summer we've had, we all know the type of year we had in terms of the weather. Just to give you an example, the Maynooth bus stop is actually, I can see it from my house. It's right outside. One of my best friends lives in Celbridge. One of the bus stops is right outside his estate. Since the bus route has come into effect, I've gone on the bus a grand total of one time to him, and he's gone a grand total of one time over to me. And the reason that is every time we go to meet each other, it's lashing rain. Now, that's just me. The bus stop outside the school should have a shelter. There's no question that there's students congregating, I presume, and I hope that the reason that bus stop is there is to benefit the students of the community college and the post-primary. There's one outside the nursing home, which I presume is to benefit the residents of the nursing home and the surrounding estates. It makes sense to have the bus shelters. Now, I understand across the country this is a common call from representatives to have bus shelters installed. And the reason that comes back from the NTA is the cost that's involved. And I have seen some astronomical costs in terms of the shelters. And the shelters that are in at the moment are they're very robust installations, but there are other more sustainable, more lightweight solutions that could be implemented. And I did write a little bit about it. There's things going on in Utrecht where they have the sustainable bus shelters, where they have the roofs and they put vegetation on top of the roofs, and that's a nice way to do things. They have the solar panels. They have very, very lightweight options, and lightweight doesn't mean flimsy. So there's a difference there. And one of the things that frustrates me is everywhere I see the bus shelter, it feels like it has to be this huge thing, and all the surrounding works cost a lot of money on top of it. And every time it seems to be that there's this big chunk left for an advertising board.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, Peter, and I make this point when we talk about public transport all the time, is the government are trying to encourage us to use public transport, but people aren't going to do that if they don't feel comfortable in the sense of, with there being shelters or whatever the case may be.
Yes, it has to be the easiest option. It's the path of least resistance for people. I'm on paternity leave now at the minute, so I have the luxury of being around the town during the day on a weekday. And you can see, everyone knows that Maynooth is a chronic traffic problem. But you can see the buses stuck in the traffic. You can see the rain pelting down. I have passed several poor pedestrians at the bus stops getting absolutely drenched. And an umbrella and a waterproof jacket just doesn't cut it when you've got the torrential rain. That's what I was going to
say, because Joe has been in touch with us. He wants to know, do they still sell umbrellas? So what would you say to that for those people who might be, kind of saying, just get out, a bit of rain never did anyone any harm?
Absolutely fine. But if you're going to work in the morning and you've got an umbrella and you are soaked up to the knee because the rain is bouncing off the pavement, soaking through your footwear, your socks, and up to your knees and going up, you might as well be soaked the whole way through. I don't accept that, umbrellas are great if it's a bit of light rain, and that's fine, there's a bit of drizzle. If it's torrential rain like we've seen, and, I don't think that the rain is going anywhere given our geographical location on the edge of Europe. So I think that bus shelters, and I really would like the Council, the NTA and Bus Connects and the Department of Transport to get together and be innovative and creative about the installation of the bus shelters. Because I see that there's options there where they could connect up to the wall in some of the areas. I understand that not every bus stop is going to have a bus shelter. I accept that. That's fine. But there are definitely pressure points there, like outside the nursing home, outside the school, at the beginning and at the end of those routes. there should be a bus shelter. There just has to be. It makes common sense, and the only thing that I can think of is that it's a cost-saving measure, and then we need to have a reflection on where we are prioritising our funds, because I understand that everything costs, and it's about what we value and what we want to do. And like you said,
right,
we want to promote public transport as much as possible, get people into buses. The W61 is a great service for me and for the residents of Maynooth and for Celbridge. Let's help it reach its full potential.
Bill texted in as well to say, in relation to the W61 bus, it really needs to have a bus stop on the main street in Maynooth. So it doesn't even stop on the main street, does it not?
The main street's a whole other issue in terms of the buses actually being able to get around the roads because of the nature of the streets. There's one before it and then there's one after it, but there's nothing that stops right in the middle of the main street, because it doesn't actually. It goes down Mill Street, then onto the Leinster Street, and then up onto the Straffan Road. So it doesn't actually go, the W61 doesn't go through the main street. But I accept that there's no place to pop people off. And as someone who's a proponent of making the Courthouse Square the centre of our town, that's something that I would definitely be looking to advocate in the future.
Yeah, well, that's another point, actually. We might touch on that again, but just to go back, I was going to ask you about that. I remember speaking to you before about the Courthouse Square and the vision that you had for that. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of work in the background. I've been very heartened by a couple of the organisations that got in touch with me about having a little stall up on the square. I'm working with Councillor Bill Clear down in Naas and the Country and Farmers Market down there to get a sense, because I want to do it right, and I want to make sure that when it happens, and it will happen, that it's something that families will go, okay, yeah, let's take a stroll through the square. Because when you bring people into the square, it doesn't just help the people who are doing the stalls on the square, it helps everybody in the surrounding areas. So you can have a family that's going in, they might go for a bite to eat in Brady's or the Avenue or whatever. They come down, they might have a look at the local artwork and listen to the local music that's happening in the square. Then they might go into the playground down in Harbour Fields. So it's about creating that social hub for everybody, because I think that the residents of Maynooth and everybody understands that building a sense of community, like we see in Celbridge at the moment, the Castletown, when the community is there and the community is strong, the community can rally and come behind issues. And I'd love to be a part of helping building that community further in Maynooth. All
right, we'll leave it there. That's Peter Melrose, Social Democrats representative in Maynooth. Thanks for joining us this morning, Peter.